Holy Spirit of counsel all those who are serving in positions of authority and responsibility.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Alves? Here. Mr. Solly?
Here.
Mr. Zelinski?
Present.
Mr. Boucher?
Here. I'd like to be able to move up under old business. Item number 4. Discussion by council of order of action on speeding and signage on Providence, Pike and Greenville Road. Officer, move this up to the next item in the docket. F. 8F. Okay, motion by the chair, second by Councilman House. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Patrolwoman, I'm sorry. I mean, Sergeant.
I'm sorry, me?
Yes.
Acting Sergeant, Lamro.
Lemmer, I'm sorry. My
No
apologies.
problem. Lieutenant Landry couldn't make it tonight, so we asked him to step in. I just kind of have a brief summary of the traffic detail, the details of the results we've had so far. The detail began on January 19th and is currently still being worked by department members. Primarily, the details are being worked between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., but additional times can be incorporated to address a particular complaint in a certain area. The areas that we're focused on are based on citizen complaints and officer observations. The following are locations of which officers conducting the detail have posted: Route 146 North and South, Eddie Dowling Highway, Greenville Road, Providence Pike, Douglas Pike, and Smithfield Road. To date, 97 motor vehicle stops have been conducted, 73 citations have been issued, and 24 warnings have been issued. The department believes that this detail has been extremely effective in reducing the number of speeders in the targeted areas, and it allows the officer working the detail to concentrate their efforts exclusively on traffic and speed violations. Lieutenant Landry wanted me to extend to the committee. If there were any questions, please feel free to email him.
Okay, so, I just had one question, but I don't know if you'll be able to answer it or not. Out of all those 70, was it 97 stops, how many were on Providence Pike between the certain areas? Because my biggest concern is the safety of the children of this town.
Sure.
And the excess speed that was cited in the 2011 study, of the traffic study.
Yeah, my apologies that I don't have that information with me tonight. And like I said, if you wanted to reach out and email the traffic lieutenant, he probably has that information for you.
Because within that confines of 1.2 miles, that you have 3 schools.
I'm sorry?
Within the confines of Providence Pike, you have 3 schools. You have the elementary school, you have the middle school, and you have the high school. That's not including where it rounds the corner on Greenville Road and rounds the backside on Grange.
On Grange?
Yes.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wouldn't want to misinform you as to how many exactly were stopped on that area, but. Yep, I believe you were asking regarding the detail, how many of those stops were made on Providence Pike?
Yes.
And I cannot answer it. I don't have that information tonight, I apologize. But if you wanted to email the traffic lieutenant, I'm positive you'd be able to get those numbers for you.
No, but it's rather relevant that we do have a speed concern in this town, and that by such a short period of time to have almost 100 stops is significant.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like I said, I don't have the breakdown of, out of the several roads that we covered, I don't have the breakdown of where those stops were, but I know Providence Pike is one of the roads in which we were posted, specifically in that target area between, like the Route 7 coming in from Smithfield and Greenville Road.
Mr. President.
Okay. Councilman Zelinski?
Sergeant, thank you for filling in tonight. In order to make this a little easier, would you mind asking Lieutenant Landry to put together the figures that the council president asked? Maybe give it to the town clerk, then this way it can be disseminated to all council
Absolutely.
members. That'll make it easier instead of 5 different emails coming in or whomever had interest. This way it'd be centralized.
Absolutely, just looking for a breakdown of where those tickets and stuff were.
In the school zones. I think it was what the president's up that you were asking, in the school zones?
That's
also?
correct.
Particularly the school zones.
Yes.
Absolutely, I'll get that information passed along.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, no.
I'd like to return back to the docket item number 4. Presentation request by Real People students, Mrs. O'Brien.
Natalie O'Brien, 128 Old Gray Road, and be very proud teacher of these 3 students and several students over there. I'm going to turn it over to them to speak a little bit about their experiences in the program and what we may be doing moving forward. Thank you.
My name is George Malian, 17 First Drive, and I'm here to talk to you about We the People. It's a constitutional debate class that we have at high school. It's offered in 9th grade. And let me just start off by saying how effective this class is. A recent 2013 study showed that 92% of the alumni that graduated through this program do vote in current elections, which is much higher than the 58% national average among young voters. So that just goes to show how effective We the People teaches participation, understanding, and public speech, which has allowed me to do this today. We the People is usually offered at the senior level, so when we compete in April for national finals, we're the youngest team in the entire country to compete in this. So we have an immense workload, hours of homework, necessary homework a night to prepare for this competition. And the competition is a lot to go on. It's near $1,500, which I'm sure you can all sympathize to could be a burden on anyone's budget nowadays. This program is extremely effective for our community and the entire road as a whole. Classes like We the People inform young students of constitutional debate and inform them on some decisions that many don't get in public school education. So by giving us money tonight, not only are you doing a service to us, but you're doing a service to the community of North Smithfield. And after all, ladies and gentlemen, isn't that what you're elected to do? Thank you.
I'm Jared Doobie. I'm here to talk about what we're doing in the future of our We the People program now. Right now, we are preparing to go to Washington, D.C. for April 22nd to 26th to compete in the National We the People competition there. We will be presenting all of our knowledge formally for only 2 days, which is actually really nerve-wracking for us, especially me. But we are doing a lot of preparation to make sure that we can do the best that we can and make our town and state proud when we perform. To aid in our preparation, we have had 2 guest speakers come and visit us and talk about specific things. These people were Professor Dolan, who told us about freedom of religion to help one of our units answer a question on that, and a retired Chief Justice named Frank Williams, who presented about Abraham Lincoln's influence on our history to help another unit. They helped our units answer certain questions and write their papers. These papers are usually very complex and are making us think and research hard to answer them to the best of our abilities. Once we have finished these papers, we also have to make sure that they can be read in under 4 minutes, which is our time limit, and then we have to be prepared to answer questions on our topics. And we don't know what these questions are. They are just made up by the judges at the time, so it's really hard to prepare for those. But other than all this formal competing, we will be doing a lot of sightseeing in the DC area, visiting places within the National Mall, which will be a great experience for all of us to see how our government really works. And all of this is just to help us learn about our government and then be part of it when we grow up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Duffy. I'm a freshman at North Smithfield High School. And We the People program, when we're not learning and preparing for Washington, D.C. for the competition, we're fundraising for it. We've had many fundraisers this year, such as during the holiday season, we sold wreaths, and we made them as well. And And we also sold cookie dough a couple of weeks ago as well. Yesterday at Bridgeo's, we were also selling raffle tickets. And for anyone here who has helped us fundraise, thank you very much for our trip to DC. We also have 2 upcoming fundraisers in March and April. Next week on the 29th, we have a fundraiser at Gators Pump. We're going to be busing tables to fundraise for our trip. And on Sunday, April 10th, we'll be washing cars for $5 at the high school, with a yard sale included as well. And if anybody's interested, you can come and judge at our dress rehearsal about a week before we head out to Washington on April 13th. Invitations will be passed out right now. And fundraising really helped us get to this point, and it's a big reason why we are able to get to Washington, D.C. And thank you for all the money you've helped us raise and the support you've received to us.
So I do just want to take a couple of moments of your time just to speak about the We the People program. I know that you're all very familiar with it because we've been doing a really strong job in this community for quite a while. This is the 9th year that we'll be going to Washington, D.C. to represent Rhode Island in the national finals. They do a phenomenal job every single year, and this year included. I mean, they are freshmen and they are required to do an incredible amount of work in order to be competitive at the state and the national level. They have to read Federalist papers. We take a look at Supreme Court opinions. Like I said, we've had a lot of guest speakers come in. I have a master's degree in political science, and I find that these questions that are thrown at us every single year really get me thinking about how to answer it. And they take the opportunity, they are energized by it, and they work incredibly hard, and they're obviously very, very dedicated. The program has been around since 1993 when it was created by the former Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. It was funded until 2011. It received federal funding through an act through Congress, which I thought was phenomenal. When the funding was cut, there was obviously a lot more of a burden on families and on communities to try to support the efforts for students to be able to go there. Most recently, in the fall, actually, a $17 million grant was passed through the Department of Education, a seed grant that is helping to train teachers throughout the country on how to utilize the We the People curriculum in their classroom, because it has had such, as George was saying, has had such a profound effect on instilling these really important democratic values throughout communities in the United States. So I really appreciate all the support that you have provided to the students in the past. I do think that they deserve as much recognition and as much support as possible as any other year. Sadly, the bill only seems to go up every time we are able to go to Washington, D.C. to represent Rhode Island. So this year it's $1,439. Our bill to travel to Washington, D.C. was $35,000. We still have $20,000 left, and we have been working incredibly hard to fundraise up until this point. So please come to our dress rehearsal. Again, a lot of you have been able to come in the past. It's at the middle school. They had mentioned it. It's just a tremendous showcase for the community, so you can really understand and appreciate everything that's occurring at the high school and how much the students are really learning the material. Because the program doesn't just require that you can study for a test and answer multiple choice questions. When we go to Washington, D.C., the judges are constitutional scholars, they're law professors, they're retired judges. I mean, these are people who have written on the topics that they're questioning the kids on, and you need to know the material and be able to defend it in a very poised and articulate manner. And my class of 22 students this year are going to do, incredibly well when we go down there. So it would be great if you could come and see them. And as for the funding, I know that last year that there was some money set aside to fund the We the People program, which is very much appreciated. If there is any additional funding that you could provide, obviously, that would also help to defray the costs, that might be a burden for some families. The We the People program should be open to any kid who's willing to put in 120%, or maybe more, right? Because anyone who knows someone who's gone through the program, you are familiar with it. And I don't want it to be just families who have a certain amount of money can take the class, because if you take the We the People class, you're enrolled in the competition. It's not certain kids, me choosing who I think is like a natural for the program, and they're the ones who go. If you're in the class, you go, and not everybody has the same opportunity to, fund their child's effort. So I really want it to be something that anyone who's gonna work can go. So thank you for the time. I really appreciate you setting aside the time to hear from us, because I do think it's important for them to receive the recognition from the community. So thank you.
Mrs. O'Brien, just one question. In your fundraising, have you ever thought of like a 10-10 club? It's like $10 a month for 10 months. And I just that was my sister Roger Gillette Woonsocket, and they raised $12,000 for the senior center.
No, you had mentioned something last year. You gave me a fundraising idea, but I don't know if it was that specifically.
It was that specific.
Oh, was it?
Yes, ma'am. And the fact is that the old adage, little money goes a long ways. There are cash prizes that can be won, but the main goal is to raise the needed funds that to assist you to achieve your financial goals. To put on such a expensive learning experience. So, if you're willing to start it after this year, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and explain how it works, and we can go from there. So it's entirely up to you.
No, I mean, I certainly appreciate your effort. That'd be very nice. I'd like to hear about it. We do a lot of fundraising. Right now, we're doing a raffle. We did the cookie doughs, we did wreaths. I mean, we do a large amount of fundraising, and the family's always very supportive to help me implement them, because it's hard to teach the class and to prepare for the trip and to prepare for new questions and to fundraise. I mean, all of that in itself seems like it should be done.
Because you've looked from a standpoint of, let's say, 200 tickets, that's $20,000. And that would be the gross receipts, and then after the cash prizes, you're probably looking about maybe $16,000 one shot.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I address?
Okay.
Ms. O'Brien, it's always a pleasure to see you come here. 9 years in a row, you created a dynasty, and you've had great students to work with. I always sit up there, and I'm amazed. Mr. Maylene was up there, Mr. Doobie, Mr. Duffy. How about the other students? Can we see the other students that participate in this? Are there others? Can you guys stand up, ladies and gentlemen? Stand up, please. Mrs. O'Brien, we have $1,000 earmarked for We the People in anticipation that once again you'd be bringing our brightest and best to DC. We have a contingency fund, and we have the acting town administrator, who's our finance director, who's wearing two hats. Jason, where are we with the contingency fund?
Currently, we're about 148 in unearmarked balance for the
148, and I just,
148,000.
yeah, 148,000. I noticed school committee, Mr. Lombardi walked in. I don't put you on the spot, Jim, but in the past, the town council has always issued kind of like a challenge to the school committee. Now, you have fund balance, and not sure how it's all going to play out. It's a technical, legal, accounting question.
We'll take you on that. We authorize 5,000.
Oh, we don't have that. Okay, Mr. Lombardi, we don't have 1.4 million. We have a contingency. I would make a motion this evening. You know, Ms. O'Brien, I'll be there with my dirty car. I'll be there to get my car washed, and you know you can count on me for a check as well. I'd like to make a motion. We have $148,000 in contingency. That if we could bring it up $2,600 to last year's funding. And by the way, Ms. Lombardi, don't limit the school committee what you all can give them. But I'd like to make a motion for, out of contingency, $2,600 earmarked for We the People. That's our motion, Mr. President.
Yeah, but part of it's, we do have 1,000 earmarked already.
Yeah, so 2,600 more would bring us to what we had funded them last year.
3,600?
Yeah, 3,600. We've done that pretty consistently. That's a motion.
Okay, motion by Councilman Zawinski,
Discussion?
second for discussion by the chair.
Mrs. O'Brien, I had a chance to talk with you a couple weeks ago, roughly maybe 2 weeks ago, about the We the People program. I've coached, refereed, yelled at these kids to pick up water bottles many a times, but they're great kids. And one thing you and I had discussed was, you had mentioned that students that can't afford should be able to attend. And one of the things you and I had discussed that Friday that we had met up was, the school department, we really need to get this funded properly. If this is a credited course, and these students, I mean, everything I hear from every student that's ever been through the We the People program, it's the workload that comes with it. They're up at 10, 11 o'clock at night researching, doing their work on it. We need to fund it appropriately from the school side, so, the kids shouldn't have to take on the added burden of fundraising. I agree with Mr. Zawinski that we should match our previous donations, but I also, today will implore the school committee in the school department to properly fund it going forward, so you don't have to come up here for 9 straight years and ask us for the money. You shouldn't have to, the students shouldn't have to, they shouldn't have to worry about their credited courses, whether or not they can go on a trip that they earn the right to go on. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Yeah, a second.
Can we have a roll call, please? Mr. President?
Sells? Yes. Mr. Solly?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
Thank you very much, I really appreciate it, and I hope you are able to come on the 13th, because it really is a tremendous evening, so I will send out emails, but if you don't hear from me immediately, and you know you can already go, please just let me know at my school email, that's included on it.
Mrs. O'Brien, do you have any references to this agenda?
Yes. Yes.
Can we purchase some up here and see if anyone in the audience wants to
May I
purchase?
make a motion to recess for 5 minutes?
I'll second that motion. Check how much money you have on me.